Okay, now we're recording. Whoops. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 10 Minutes in Tinseltown. This is Ms. Meliz. That's Melissa Reyes. And I'm happy to have with me Genie Davis. For this episode of 10 Minutes in Tinseltown, we're going to be doing Author Showcase. So today we're going to be talking to Genie about all the novels that she's written and see what projects she's got going. Thank you for coming. Thanks so much for being here, Genie. How are you
thanks
doing?
for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Wow. Thank you again. And we've chatted a little bit today, but we've never really met. You were referred to me by our mutual friend, Pauline Baird, right? Pauline Baird Jones?
Pauline Jones, yeah.
Pauline
She's a fantastic writer, and we've been friends for a long time. We met on a screenwriting chat room and have read each other's work, and we're actually going to be collaborating on a project that should be released in time for Christmas. We're each doing two novellas in a set, and it's seasonal, and it should be a lot of fun.
Awesome. So is this written work already that you're repackaging and putting out around the holidays, or are you actually starting something new?
Yeah, actually, we're both doing new things, and she's further along than I am. She has pretty much a complete draft already of her half, and mine is more in the rudimentary stages, but we'll get it together.
My goodness. So are you on Triber as well? That's where I met Pauline.
No, I don't even know what that is.
No. Oh, well, we're going to have to talk because I've met her and so many wonderful authors in a group called Rockin' Readers and Writers.
Oh,
and
cool.
So,
no, I have not been on there. Just Facebook and Twitter, and that, to a large extent, that's enough for me. But if there's good groups out there, I'm always happy to know about them.
Well, it worked out because, Pauline is on Meerkat watching. That's great. She says, hi, Genie.
Hi, Pauline. Okay, so she missed me talking about her and saying how much further ahead she is on our mutual project than I am, but it's going to be a great project.
Well, tell me more about it. I'd love to check it out. So it's a novella.
We're each doing separate 20,000 word novellas, and it's Christmas theme and holiday theme, and it's fun, and it's romantic suspense / sci-fi / it's cool. It's more along Pauline's style, I think, in terms of genre, probably than, I don't know if I really have a style, because I have a couple of romantic suspenses out right now, and some literary fiction and a mystery, and so I kind of bounce all over the place. But it's going to be a really fun project, and yes, fresh material from both of us.
Fantastic. And that's going to be due out when? Is it in
for
December?
The holidays? So it'll be out for the holidays. So it'll really be released. I think we talked about it. Hitting in early November.
Okay, great. Well, that gives me a little bit of time to make sure I get this video up and edited. So I like to try to time it around then, and we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
So tell me about yourself. How did you get started with writing, and what's your background?
Well, I've written my whole life, really, and my background, I guess, is in media. My college degree is in film and television, and I've written for television for ABC Daytime and for a lot of reality shows. I've had 17 different screenplays options and one produced. And so that's kind of my background. And for years, I've done marketing communications, which I still do today, although it shifted a little bit. I used to do corporate media, videos, and things like that. And now primarily I do more written material, blogs and websites and that kind of thing. And in regard to writing, really, screenplays and TV writing came first, and novels came second. And I've been publishing novels since 2001.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. That's quite a bio. Tell me, what, are you from Southern California, or are you,
No, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
And I, in fact, one of my earliest jobs was I was a tour guide for Ralph Nader around the U.S. Capitol, and probably
Wow.
started me telling stories because I never wanted to bother with learning the actual material for the tour, so I just made up stories. So people always wanted to take my tours because they thought it was really interesting, but it wasn't necessarily maybe the most accurate version of what had happened. So,
Did you ever get
yeah.
found out for that or
Oh
in
yeah,
trouble?
yeah. And I was told like, yeah,
Oh,
you have to stick with the program. And then after I started sticking with the program, people didn't request my tours anymore. They liked knowing about
oh.
all the mysterious affairs of early presidents that didn't really happen. So they were more interested in that.
I might
Yeah.
have been
So
on one of your tours once. I remember hearing some of those stories. That's pretty funny. So, so you've always been a natural storyteller. That's fantastic. That's neat.
pretty much always told something. Yeah.
What's your favorite adventure, true or having happened to you or that you've written about? What's your favorite adventure?
My favorite adventure, boy, that's really wide open. I think I'm going to have to go with the most recent one that I've had because I have, as anyone can tell you, I have a memory for things that isn't super good. I'm so all over the place with different topics and stories and things that I rarely even remember my characters' names after I've finished the project. So I
I'm
think
so glad
and
I'm not the only one who's like that.
really,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember my own book. Sometimes I'll find quotes of things that I think are really good, and I'll look them up to see who wrote them, and it was me.
you know what's really funny? I have to do an aside there is that romantic suspense book that I have out now, Between the Sheets, which was another co-write, but not with Pauline, but with my friend Linda Marr that I also write with. Between the Sheets, in it, the hero gets in trouble because he's quoting things from the heroine's book, and she recognizes them and knows that something is up, and there's a whole mystery behind that. But I was laughing because if it
Oh,
was me, I wouldn't know that he was quoting me. He could read the entire chapter, and I wouldn't know
I
that it
would
was mine.
fall. I would
So
fall
yeah,
for him because I would think how wonderful he
right,
is.
exactly. I wouldn't remember that I said it exactly. But anyway, recent adventure. I just recently covered for my blog, which I'll shill for right now, which is called it's
Okay.
www, of course, diversionsla.com. And I just did a trip to Utah. I went glamping, and my partner went with me, and that's Jack Burke, who I think is still on here. I don't know, but anyway, I think he is because I see like
Uh,
a blank icon, and he doesn't have his
yeah,
face on it. Other
he's the
icon.
egg.
But at any rate, we went to Moab Under Canvas, which is glamping. The tents are set up for you, and they have wooden platforms, and they have little
Oh,
bathrooms.
that's it. I knew I'd heard
Yeah,
of glamping before, and you mentioned that to me, and I thought, what's glamping? It's glamorous camping, right?
glamping. Yes, although
Okay, how cool is
we
that?
it's a beautiful place. You wake up in the morning and you look out on the red rocks, and we were fortunate enough to have one of the deluxe tents, so it had the wooden floor and the porch, which was great for stargazing. And
Mm.
so that's what I'm going to say as my favorite adventure was the one of the nights that we were there. Jack's a photographer, and he wanted to go out and get some star trails, in the sky out in Arches. And, we were about 10, 15 minutes away from the national park. So we went out around midnight, drove back into the park. And during the
Mhm.
day, Arches is very popular in the summer, so it's very crowded. And in the evening, of course, just the opposite. There's, like nobody there, and it's all dark and deserted.
Mm.
And my favorite arch is called Sand Dune Arch, and it's also a very short walk from where you can park. So it's kind of the perfect place to haul out the camera equipment and set up and take pictures of the Perseids were still going and meteors in the sky and that kind of stuff. So we got there, and I was all excited about doing it, and then I decided it was really, really dark, and there's probably snakes and scorpions, and I was wearing sandals, and I became like less enamored of the idea. And I said, I think I'm just going to sit in the car and listen to Sirius radio. And he was like, okay, whatever. And I thought, okay, no, I'll do it. Cause I would not didn't have too much of my back up against the wall, suddenly I was, okay with it. And so we walked over, and it was really a wonderful experience to see the very dark rocks, against the sky. And just, when it was illuminated, when the camera was set up and it would be illuminated, then you would see, the colors again, and yet the stars were perfectly clear. And it was wonderful to see that picture being taken, and it was wonderful to be out there and to be just completely alone out there and to see the Milky Way and all those thousands and thousands of stars. So I was really glad that I'd done it. And, that was my most recent, I suppose, adventure.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm hearing some delay. Oh, gosh, I hate that. Can you hear that?
No, I can't, but I'll tell you what's happening on your end is I can't really look at you because your picture is so far behind what you're saying that it's really very strange.
My
it's like,
is off.
Yeah, way behind.
I hear an echo that's terrible. So hold that thought. Just stay here. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to go out.
Okay, I hope that works.
I'm here. Can you hear me better now? I still see there's a delay.
Yeah, it's. Are you can
no
still
more
hear
echo.
No, okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
All
still
right.
the big delay on you, but that's okay.
Okay, so that's remarkable. You just the way you described that is very, very nice. I can picture it perfectly, and sounds so neat. I have to admit, I haven't read your books. I've been so busy lately, but I'm looking forward to it. And I know that any recommendation from Pauline is great. And you are like she is with the mixed, I'm so enamored with the mixed genres of, mystery, romance, sci-fi. And she does like steampunk kind of stuff with,
she's a wonderful writer. I mean, the main thing with all of Pauline's stories, and I've been reading her for years, of course, ever since I knew her, is just first met her, is that they're just such wonderful, rich characters, and they're so fun and full of life, no matter what genre you want to say that they are, or where she's classified with the steampunk or what have you. She's just a terrific writer, and I love working with her. So yeah.
Well, fantastic. So first of all, I want to take a little break and just welcome and acknowledge everybody here on Meerkat and on Blab. So I have to do that periodically because they come in and they're saying things here. Pauline actually typed in waving. So, and thank you, Tammy at Vintage Path, for putting in a hashtag chat with writer Genie Davis. And we have D Trucking here and David Dorian Ross, and a number of people who've come in and said hello. Pauline says, my ears are burning. She says, they love to you too, my friend. And then in Blab, we have Ramon, who's asked a question, I think. And actually, Candy, who's from Tokyo, she asks a question as well. She says, do you have any good advice to overcome a slump? Have you ever found yourself in a slump, Genie? I'm assuming she's talking about writing.
Well, sure, but I don't really, let's see. Part of it, for me, the slump usually comes because I'm working on so many other projects, either as a journalist or marketing communications things that if I've already written 10,000 words in a day on client projects, I don't feel like working on my own. So I think kind of the main thing would be that it is just to sit down and make yourself write something. I mean, even if you don't think that it's any good, even if it's not the project that you are, working on at the moment, just to sit down and put words on a page, and that, just to see the words appear is somewhat heartening that you can still accomplish that, I suppose. To me, whenever I just don't have the time to work on something or I'm just burnt out, I just will sit down and write something, unrelated. Like, for me now, it'll be a blog piece. It'll be a short piece that describes something that I'm, enthused about and that I want to write about. And for, sometimes it'll be like a short story, or sometimes I'll take on a ghostwriting project or something, and it'll take a really long time to write it, or it will, just be something that maybe is not quite to my taste, and I'll find myself getting stuck on that or not wanting to finish that. So I will, work on something, just a short story or anything like that. So I think it's really just anything that you feel like writing, write, even if it's not the project you're supposed to be writing at that moment. And other than that, just literally just sit down and put words on a page, whether it's maybe the description of what your cat did that day or something, just something that lets you see that you can still access. I think that part, hopefully that's a little bit of a help.
Well, that's really good advice. That's good advice for me too. And one thing that I do, but it tends to take me away further, yet I still do it because it gets the creativity going, is I like to draw or color.
That's a great idea.
Just to take myself away a little bit. But it keeps the brain kind of moving or going for a walk. But I still want to be pen on paper. I still want to be somehow. So it's usually art, usually drawing, or just playing around with writing words. So, but I don't have the type of a product that you've done where you've completed a novel. To me, that's just huge. What was it like the first time you finished your first novel?
Well, I have to say the novels have always, other than like right now when I have so many things to do that it's time juggling, the novels have always come pretty easily. What was really difficult for me, really, I think, was probably my first screenplay.
Oh, okay.
And the first one that I wrote, I was just, it was one of those things where, I started writing it in the middle of the night kind of thing, and just stayed up and wrote it over the course of a number of different days. My kids were really little then, and I would still have to get up and take them to school and all that, and still had my other work, which at the time was doing like corporate media videos and things like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I would do that at night, and it was kind of my special thing. And I think it took me like a month to finish the first screenplay that I wrote, and I was just so happy to have finished it, and so delighted that I finished it. And I sent it around to like my friends and everything, and really wasn't very good, of course, the first one. I mean, it had some elements to it that I actually used in subsequent scripts, but the main thing was that feeling of like, wow, I actually completed something that I really, wanted to do, and that kind of opened the floodgates, and that's why I was able to write as many screenplays as I did. I think total I've written 21 screenplays.
My goodness.
Were optioned, and only one very small one was made into a film. But, and I've gotten like a lot of TV work and things like that out of them as calling cards. But would I like to have them all produced? Sure. And I've still, very recently had a long option period with a producer that, we were kind of hoping might actually come to fruition, but it did not. But at any rate, that first experience with writing that first screenplay was just this tremendous feeling of accomplishment, and again, like the floodgates being opened, and just kept writing and writing. And with novels, it seems almost to be less challenging, except from the standpoint of finding the time to complete the projects that I want to complete.
So, it sounds to me like you're just always writing and working on things. What is it like for you? I understand that you've gone from traditional publishing to indie publishing and self-publishing. So what has that transition been like, and what can you tell us about that?
Well, it's been difficult in a couple of ways. Emotionally, it's been difficult because for years I spent all of this time, making sure that I was traditionally published and New York published and published by, major publishers. And to me, at that point in time, I would not have dreamed of, what was then called self-publishing and is now called indie publishing. And then as the years have gone by, and in more recent years, there just, has been so much difficulty in selling things, and in selling a new series, and in doing anything of of that nature, and just of having to deal with editors wanting this thing or that thing, which isn't necessarily the same thing that I wanted to do. It started with working with Linda Moore and a couple of romantic suspense pieces that we did, Between the Sheets and Animal Attraction, which are both on Amazon now. And we were published by a publisher, Entangled, which is not, I don't consider that a mainstream New York type publisher, but it is a pretty big digital and print publisher in the, romance and romantic suspense area. And, the project just dragged on, and we weren't super thrilled with, their editing or the cover or any of that kind of stuff. So we took the rights back, and we self-published both of those books, indie published them. And
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and there was a big learning curve on that in terms of, formatting and, getting covers made and that kind of thing. And right now, something that I'm pretty excited about is we have a young adult, The Cannibal Hunter, that's up for nominations on the Kindle Scout program. So,
well, congratulations on that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So go ahead. Anybody who wants to help out by voting, right?
Yeah, you nominate it and you get to read a free excerpt, and then if they pick it for the program, you get a free copy of the book when it's published. So kind of a win-win for everyone. And it's a really good story. It's a really sort of, rousing. I mean, I don't like to compare to something like The Hunger Games, but it's, it's a good, rousing, strong female heroine dystopian book. So it's a good read.
But it's called The Cannibal.
The Cannibal Hunter.
The Cannibal Hunters?
Yeah.
It sounds really scary to me. I saw a few of the pictures and promos on Twitter, and just there I was like, oh, I got creeped out a little bit.
Well, the cover, my son designed the cover actually, and he did, I thought, a great job with the original artwork for the cover. So we were excited about that too.
That's fantastic. A family project. That's wonderful that he did that. Does he do a lot of that? Is that what he does? His graphic design?
He's actually he does he's an artist, and he also does a lot of writing. Comedy writing, primarily sketches. He performs live a lot, and writes for a number of theaters in the Los Angeles area. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. We could have a family blab, and your partner Jack could get on with with his photography, and your son with his work.
I think he would probably. I think you'd have to ask Jack. He probably would do that. I don't think my son would do it. And
I
my
can't get my own sons to come on, so I know what you mean.
How old are your sons?
Oh my gosh, 20, 18, and 15.
Okay, and mine's 20, so yeah, same kind of difference. And my daughter's 26, and she's a musician, and she performs around LA and is as a recording engineer, and also just had my first grandchild. So that's
congratulations!
Exciting. Yeah.
How fun!
Yeah. So I was going to say, I see in the feed over here, I think Jack says, yay, great idea. So I think he would be willing to come on and talk. So
fantastic.
I think that's what
I think that is. He popped that up right when we said that, and I would love to interview him, or just you do it. Now that you've discovered Blab, you can come on and talk to people. People love to hear your story, and you're remarkable what you've done. And the way that you've collaborated with other people and worked together with other authors, I find that is something I love to see with the independent publishing, and that just the collaborative efforts that you're able to produce, and in such a short amount of time to be able to say, I haven't started writing it yet, but the holidays we're going to have this out together, and I think that's really cool. I think it's a really good example that you set for people who are trying to find their way. And that's what 10 Minutes in Tinseltown's about. And I want to encourage everybody here on Blab and on Meerkat, and anybody watching the replay, to go to MsMeliz.com, look up Genie Davis. I have a post there with all the links to her blog post and to where you can get her books. You can see some covers of some of her recent things, and find out more on how you can get the new book coming out. We'll have it all there. And so I'm so happy that you're here with me. Do you have any questions for me, or does anybody have any other questions for Genie? Put it in the chat. We've got a couple people hanging with us. I think it's a busy night. Like I told you, busy night out in the blabosphere. But we can just kind of take a moment and think about, you know, how we can help each other, you know. So what are some things that you've done in the community or with your art blog? I think that's pretty fascinating, bringing people to the city and showing them, you know, the events and things that are going on. So how did you get into that?
One of the publications that I had been writing for a while, that covered things like art gallery openings and occasional interviews with artists and restaurant reviews and things like that, went out of business. And I had a lot of artists and other people that I had promised stories to. And so we just basically, you know, created our own blog. And of course, you know, there's a learning curve with everything. And I had thought I could just do it on WordPress and be super easy. And of course, it needed to be, you know, to get Google AdSense on it. So if anyone does go on it, please click the ads. We had to go over to Bluehost and migrate the blog. And it was sort of this whole process. But the process aside, in terms of the technical, you know, specs and everything back there, and I see my cat in the background is doing something by my house. But I fear he's going to jump over here now. But maybe not if I reach over here and pet him. So maybe he won't do that.
We're a cat-friendly show here on 10 Minutes in Tinseltown. My cats are usually walking over me too.
But anyway, those kind of things aside, it's just been a lot of fun to, you know, to write about places. And I'm no longer constrained by the fact that, like, maybe someone would only want like 3 of Jack's photos, or only, you know, for me to only write about one particular artist or one particular opening. If there's something that's interesting to me and that I find, you know, to be like something that I think would be interesting to other people, I can write about it. And the tagline to it is, you know, art, film, food, fun, and travel. So it's, you know, it's Los Angeles centric, but you don't have to be here in LA to enjoy reading about the art, seeing pictures of the art, you know, talking with the artists, or, you know, the travel pieces certainly are universal pieces. And again, the dining pieces, of course, you would have to be at least visiting Los Angeles to enjoy, but you could in person, but you can look at the photos and want to eat the food, I suppose.
Enjoy them through you, and you're exposing people around the world to your experiences here in LA, and I think that's fantastic. And what is it called again? Diversions LA?
Diversionsla.com. Yeah, Diversions
Excellent.
LA.
So everybody check diversionsla.com. So everybody check that out. And we have a few questions here. What was your favorite book you've written, or favorite character?
My favorite book that I've written so far was my Mystery Marathon, which is out now in both hardcover and on you know, the digital formats. And that was the last one, I guess, that I conventionally published. And it's a mystery that I feel very strongly toward. It's kind of a mother-daughter story couched inside a thriller. The mother is a psychic, and I don't want to give too much, I guess, of the plot away, but suffice to say, she reaches a bad end, and her daughter, who's a private investigator, needs to come to terms both with solving the case and her relationship with her mom. So it has a lot of depth to it. It's a story that I had always wished I had written while my own mom was still on this planet, and really feel very attached to it. And it was intended to be the start of a series, and at some point it will be, but I may wait until I get the conventional publishing rights back for that, and indie publish the first as well, and then the rest of the series. Yeah. But I like the characters in it, all of them, quite a bit, so I'm very fond of them. And it was a screenplay for, yeah.
Oh, there's that delay again. So I was going to ask what you thought about indie publishing. Obviously, you're going to stick with that now. Is that pretty where everybody is going, you think?
I think that it's a hard time for people to be conventionally published and make any money at it. And unless you're following a very specific genre that just happens to hit something that people at least think they can sell at the moment in terms of agents as gatekeepers. So, but would if Cannibal Hunter does really well in Kindle Scout or regular Kindle or what have you, and somebody comes to us and say, hey, this is doing really well, would you like to, have this come out through HarperCollins or, what have you? Naturally, I think I would find it difficult to turn that down. So I'm not going to say that wouldn't happen. I'm just going to say that for mid-level authors, I think it's very tough out there to be traditionally published these days and to get any traction going at all. And at least with indie publishing, you own your books. They are yours for perpetuity. You can change the covers. You can do whatever you want to with them and continue to build on that.
Right. Right. Fantastic. So Marathon is the name of that book. I just put the picture up. I don't know if anybody got a screenshot of that, but I could put it back up again. And they're asking, what is it called? And can I tweet it? So definitely tweet that out. And then how long does it take you to prepare for a novel? That's an interesting question. How long does it take you to prepare?
Prepare. Well, I say I really prepare. I get if it's just something that I just want to write myself, I usually will get an idea, and the idea usually is triggered by a sense of place. And once I have that sense of place, I kind of build a book around that. And I'll just sit down and start writing. I'm definitely, a seat of the pants style writer. I don't outline for projects that are my own. Now the things that I have co-written with Linda, and even probably in regard to even though it's a separate novella that I'm doing with Pauline, I probably will rough out an outline. I have a partial one done. Pauline, don't panic. I do have a partial outline done, and started the actual writing. But normally I don't do outlines. When I ghostwrite for others, I always do an outline because they have to approve it before I can move forward with it. But for my own stuff, it's more an inspiration happens and I sit down and I start working on it. And then it's just something that I want to keep returning to, either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day or whenever it is that I'm working on it.
And so what preparation do you do going into releasing the novel as far as marketing? Now, if you're with an independent publishing, you're doing that yourself. So do you having a marketing, you said that you do some marketing or have done that background, and I don't know why, but Pauline is putting LOL in there, maybe reacting to what you said, but so how do you prepare for that when you have a new release coming out?
Well, to some extent the same way that I did when I was traditionally published, because traditional publishing very rarely gives you very much of a PR push. I mean, the very first mainstream paperback that I had out, The Model Man, which is a romantic suspense, that one got end cap distribution and was reviewed. They pushed reviews on it, but anything subsequent to that, I really had to promote myself. So it's a question of, you send out the manuscript for review, to reviewers and try and, reach them and tempt them into reviewing. You try to, reach the right people with the right project and not just kind of, you try to do a targeted reviews, reach out to bloggers and see if anyone wants to read it and review it, and reach out to Amazon Vine reviewers and hopefully get them to review you on Amazon when the book comes out, and offer,
what you're talking about is a lot of work. That's a lot of reaching out and following up and following through, and you're doing it for multiple projects. And, again, that's what I want to point out, is that it isn't easy. This type of work it's creative and it takes a business sense, and you have to really, self-regulate and push it out there. And it's worth it though, isn't it? What's the best part about it for you?
The best part of what? Of writing a book, or
your process, your whole process. What's the favorite part for you? What do you like the best?
I think really just putting the words down on paper and liking it, and then that someone reads it and tells me how much they like it or that it was meaningful to them. And I think that's been one of the reasons why I've liked doing the blog, which is certainly short form and it's not fiction, but is to kind of get that immediate response from people saying that I've really got their art, or I've really understood the vacation spot, or I have insight into something, and getting that kind of immediate feedback is very gratifying, really. And so in terms of the books, it's really people read it and they like it and they tell me they love it, and that's really worth the whole process, I think.
I can relate to that. I love that so much that I went from blogging to podcasting, because I get that instant reaction and I love interacting with people, but I also, I love to write about it. So, I wanted to know if you noticed that I added you to a few groups on Facebook once you were nice enough to accept my friend request. And I added you to the 10-minute green room, which is a place where all my former guests can hang out and encourage new guests. And it's kind of like your backstage kind of hangout. And then, so you'll see, eventually when I finish the video editing and put it on YouTube, or I'll make an announcement there. And, I encourage you to continue to check that from time to time. But I also invited you to a group that is called the Women of Midlife, and it's for bloggers, and many of the women who are bloggers there are former journalists and authors and producers and a lot of professionals. And it just, with your new blog, I thought you might be interested in, maybe you already know some people that are in that group. There's a conference coming up in April called BAM, and it's bloggers at midlife. And it's going to be the second time they've done it. The first one was very successful, and it's going to be in Las Vegas. And I actually have up on my video on my blog today, the finished video of an interview with their coordinator, their creator of Blab and Women of Midlife, and Paris. So I look forward to seeing if you can collaborate there, and if and give some of your shine some of your light to them, because you have such a wonderful experience in the screenwriting and television, and oh my gosh, all your books. I'm so happy that you've been here. We have about 15 minutes left, and I'm going to take a little break and welcome Rebel Heart over here. Pauline is saying no, she's not panicking. And people are making friends with Pauline, which is great. And she said your blog is beautiful.
Oh, well,
and
thank
people
you.
are saying hi to each other. It's a really fun community over at Meerkat, and people. And I think I see Mary. Mary's in there too. She looks like a blogger friend that I have. And so welcome to everybody on Meerkat. And then Candy, who I mentioned to you, is from Tokyo. She is talking about a book fair that they're having in Tokyo that she's going to be streaming live next week. Cool. And I mentioned she's a photographer. She's pretty awesome. I'm going to be interviewing Candy on 10 Minutes in Tinseltown next Tuesday. So she'll be live from Tokyo, and we're going to talk about her photography and some of the events that she's going to be working on. I think she's also doing Fashion Week in Tokyo. So that's kind of exciting. Yeah. So have you ever visited Tokyo or other countries, or have you done a lot of traveling?
Well, I do a lot of traveling, but it's been primarily really domestic. I've been to Paris and London and Scotland, but I'd like to say that there's the three I's that I really want to go to: Iceland and Italy and Ireland, because I have friends in Ireland, and I've always wanted to see Iceland, and of course Italy being Italy. So that would be the next abroad place, I guess. I've been to pretty much all of the contiguous U.S. states, with the exceptions of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Missouri. I haven't been to. So those three states I haven't been to, and North Dakota. I haven't been to 4 states. But other than that, I've been to all the contiguous states.
Pretty
been
good.
to Hawaii numerous times because I love Hawaii. Haven't been to
Mm.
Alaska, so that's on the list too. But yeah, do a lot of traveling, very big on road trips, and recently have done a lot of traveling in regard to places that I'm reviewing for various publications, or or doing that and tagging those into, other longer trips.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, it's wonderful. And that gives you even more insights for your writing, I'm sure. Ramon asks, when you decide to publish your novel, for example, when was that moment you said, I should share these stories? I'm not quite sure exactly what his question is, but I think he's saying, do you have a moment where something just hits you and says, this is something I should write about?
Well, sure. I mean, again, to me, the trigger, I mean, I think it's different. Lots of people will be triggered by a line of dialogue or a character that they've thought of or something like that. For me, it's usually a sense of place. With I think I'm reading Ramon's out of the corner of my eye here.
Yeah.
I think maybe he's asking maybe more about when do you feel that it's time to share? When do you think that something is
Yeah.
ready? Maybe I'm wrong, and if that's true, I think it reaches a point where you've rewritten something so many times that you're sick of rewriting it, and that's the time to
It's time
publish
to
it.
actually publish it, right? Yeah.
So
Oh,
hopefully that answered that. And if not, Ramon, I hope you'll step in there. And no, let's see. I guess not. I guess he liked what you asked me better.
I would
So I guess
say when you
what's
have that,
that moment of
yeah,
inspiration. And for me, again, it's more of a place stands out to me. I mean, I'm big on the desert for whatever reason, and so going to the desert or looking at the desert or something like that will often kind of trigger that desire to write about it, kind of thing.
I think that's really neat that it's the place that speaks to you, and I think for me it would be people first, and then putting them in a place. But for you,
Yeah,
it's the place that speaks to you. That's pretty neat. I like
yeah.
that.
I
So
don't know
there you
why,
go,
but that's
Ramon.
all pretty much like that. I mean, if I know where the story is set, usually the story will come to me. Yeah.
So, what did you want to be when you grew up? When you were little, did you ever think about what you wanted to be?
When I was a little kid, I wanted to write for television, so I sort of did that, not in the way I had intended. I
Yeah.
used to put on plays in my parents' basement where I was doing episodes that I wrote of my favorite TV shows and forcing the neighbor children and my cousins and my aunt and stuff to act in them. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, what do you want to be when you grow up now?
I want to just basically relax and travel and have Jack take photos of every place we go, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay,
I
there
mean,
you go, Jack.
keep writing on the blog and keep writing books, and I could probably lose having to do all of the corporate media and things like that I do without missing
Yeah.
that like one iota. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. What inspires you?
What inspires me in terms of novels, that kind of thing.
Eh, Well, that's what we're talking about now, but it could be anything. Where do you find inspiration? Is there a person or thing? Do you have a muse? I mean, it's a huge question, I know, but something made me say it. So,
Well, I think in terms of books, what inspires me, again, I don't mean to sound like a boring broken record, but it would be kind of a place, I think. Makes me want to describe it, makes me want to show it to other people, and that's the way that I do that. I think I
okay, let's
also
put it
another
this way. What motivates you? What puts that
money.
fire under you?
Um,
Honest answer.
um, in terms of creative motivation, I would say that probably at that point it would be that characters take over and kind of make me want to tell their story, I would say. Another thing that I do is I also sometimes preach at a church, the church that I belong to, which is Swedenborgian Church, which is one of those inclusive
Mm.
churches. It's not, a doctrinaire kind of church, and they often have lay preachers. And what will inspire me for something like that will usually be like a life event, like the birth of my
Mm.
grandchild, or
Mhm.
or just something that I've read that I find inspiring or something like that, and that'll kind of, get a sermon out of that. And for anyone who's in Southern California, Wayfarers Chapel is an absolutely gorgeous church. It's glass. It was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright Jr. and it has a view of the Pacific Ocean, and it's beautiful just to go there.
And that's where you go for your trip.
That's my place. Yeah.
I might check that out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, just a stunning location. And so in terms of motivation, the location and the peace of the place is what motivates me to get up on Sunday morning as opposed to sleeping. So, yeah.
So you wouldn't want to go there on a Sunday morning. That sounds beautiful. So if you could give your teenage self advice, knowing what you know now, what would you say?
Buy Microsoft and Apple stock, for God's sake, you idiot. So,
that's great. But about your life, that's a good advice, actually. Nobody's ever said that before.
I think I would say, hold out for what it is that you really want in life, and don't be in such a rush.
That's excellent advice. Excellent advice. Well, do you know what time it is, Genie?
It's probably time to say goodbye. So thank you for having me very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here on 10 Minutes in Tinseltown. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for sharing your insights. And I have Vintage Path is Tammy. She says, perfect closing words. Candy says, great interview and very interesting story. We would just love to know more about you. You're welcome to come back anytime. And I look forward to seeing you and Jack. And,
thank you guys so much.
It's such a pleasure. So check out Genie Davis on her blog. It's diversionsla.com. There's a link at msmeliz.com. And of course, just go to Amazon, read all her books, and give her lots of wonderful reviews because she's fantastic. And if you're interested in the promotion for Cannibal Hunters, send her a tweet at Genie Writes. So thank you so much, Genie. I really appreciate it. And
of course,
I hope you
have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Good night, everybody. This is 10 Minutes in Tinseltown. It's been a pleasure having you all here. Have a wonderful night. And if you'd like to stick around for a few minutes after the show, I'm going to turn off the recording now, but we'll be happy to speak with you. And I hope you all have a great night and great week. And we'll see you soon.
Have a great night, guys.